Welcome to the New York Vendée Les Sables d'Olonne live arrivals. It's Tuesday afternoon, 17 hours here in France, 3 p.m. UTC, and 11 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States. That's important in a minute. The race left from New York, some of the boats from New York, the other half of the fleet from Newport for this 3,200 nautical mile transat in its second edition. This is Justine Mettraux crossing the finish line. She crossed the finish line at 12:56 midday here. That was 4 hours ago. In 12 days, 16 hours and 56 minutes. 2 days after the winner, Charlie Dallin on Massif, and 5 hours behind Paprec Arkea Joan Richomme, who took 7th place. She finishes in 8th place. I'm Natasha Gonzalez, joined by Charlie Enright. Hey, Charlie, how are you doing?
Hey, Natasha, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
How are things on the other side of the pond? Did you get to see the boats in Newport?
I did. I got to see some of the boats in Newport and actually some of the boats in New York as well. Particularly cool to check on Seb Simone and see how our old ride is faring.
Yeah, he had a great race this time around. 4th place.
Yeah, it was great to see him notch such a good result. I know on the way over he was still kind of pending qualification, so took it on the easier side, but great to see when he's pushing that he and that boat are still very competitive.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody knows who Charlie Enright is. He lives in Rhode Island. He won the ocean race on 11th Hour Racing Team, and he sailed quite a bit with Justine Mettraux.
Yeah, I've done a lot of miles with Justine. That's for sure, including the 38-day leg through the Southern Ocean. She's an absolute pleasure to sail with. Real warrior, very dedicated, unbelievably talented sailor, and we're lucky to have her as part of our team.
Yeah. So she's finishing here today, going through the channel of Les Sables d'Olonne, same place where the Vendée Globe will set sail on the 10th of November of this year. The race that goes around the world, single-handed, unassisted, and nonstop. And this is the famous channel. Have you been here before? Have you sailed in and out of this one? Have you done any races in Les Sables d'Olonne?
I have been to Les Sables d'Olonne, but I have not done any races that start or finish there. We did a lot of training, off the west, the western French coast, and a lot of our training routes would take us down that way. So familiar with the body of water, but not familiar with the channel. Obviously, the shots that we're seeing now are pretty iconic and usually associated with the finish of the big show. So hopefully Justine's got those feelings right now, and it's getting her all psyched up for a trip around the globe that starts this fall.
Yeah, for sure. So Charlie, you've done the Transat Jacques Vabre twice. You won the Défi Azimut, which is near where we are here. And you want to do some more racing in France, or what are you up to these days? What's the next move for you?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question. Certainly for a while there, I was like an honorary French resident. Spending more time in Concarneau than here in Rhode Island in preparation for the ocean race. But we really did immerse ourselves in this whole French IMOCA culture, and I look back on it fondly. And the class is so strong. It's got a bunch of good sailors. The boats are extremely technical, very difficult to sail. So of course I'd like to get back into it, but when and in what capacity kind of remains to be seen.
Yeah. Well, Justine Mettraux finishing 9th place here on Teamwork Group SNEF. She favored a route via the south of the Azores, just like Sam Davis and Johan Richomme did, whom She sailed in close contact for a long time before falling slightly behind at the entrance to the Bay of Biscay in that long kind of reach. She started to lose ground, but she completed the race in eighth place, and a great race. It was a tough one. We saw how the divided into three groups, and she took the southern group. I remember her mentioning when she left for the Transat CIC, and I interviewed her on the dock, that she actually went back to the older version foils just to preserve the newer version foils that they just got made for the Vendée Globe. And Samantha has her new set of foils, and Johan Richomme just mentioned when he arrived to the dock today that in 10 days he will be getting his new set of foils. And we saw how Samantha stole his spot today and passed him at 5 o'clock in the morning to finish in sixth place, and Johan Richomme finishing in seventh place. So I wonder if the foils is what makes the difference. I mean, you had kind of like that experience, Charlie, during the ocean race. You have to change foils at one point. Does that really make that much of a difference?
Yeah, big time. I mean, I think foils are the engine in a lot of ways of the boat. They're very unique to the IMOCA class, and foil development is a huge part of the whole performance package. So I know Justine got new foils at the beginning of this year. She was going quite well with them. Sam has new foils as well. It doesn't surprise me that she's sailing so well. Another one of our sailors, Jack Patel, has been helping her train and gotten her, going quite well. Sam's a very talented sailor as well. We had some issues with our foils during the ocean race and ended up having to swap back to our old pair. Just because of timing with us and the race and all the lead up. There weren't huge differences between both sets, but enough that you could notice on the water. And so even feeling that with the small differences, I think Justine's differences are quite big. So, it wouldn't shock me that you saw huge performance differences in her pair as well.
Yeah. So just as an explanation, even though she crossed the finish line earlier, she had to wait outside on a mooring ball because there wasn't enough water during certain times with the tides here in the channel for the IMOCAs to be able to enter. So we will see that Peep Hair on Medallia. Her ETA is going to be around between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. here. She'll be coming in on 9th place. And it's her first top 10 finish. She will probably be able to enter through the channel tonight. So yeah, very good for her. If she finishes a good race for her, since she's been in the IMOCA circuit since 2019, perhaps a good omen ahead for her Vendée Globe. And then right behind her is Louis Burton on Bure-Vallée. His ETA is about 10 o'clock, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So he, for example, might have to stay outside as well and wait for the next tide in the morning to come in. After a complicated start for him in the race due to a collision with a UFO, unidentified flowing object, which resulted in a breakage of a furling disc, followed by a very nice gesture of solidarity from Johan Richomme, which enabled him to replace this part on his boat to be able to hold and use his head sails. So Louis Burton managed to climb up and steal some of the places that little by little, finally to finish in the top 10. He was one of the first of the fleet to have opted for a trajectory to the south of the Azores. So I don't know if you got to see that, Charlie, how Johan Richomme was sailing in front of him, and he put the part in a bag and then tied it with a rope and kind of dragged it behind him, kept on letting it go until he was able to snatch it up onto his boat. So it was, I think it was right before the start line or after. I'm not quite sure. Interesting.
Yeah, pretty amazing story. It just goes to show you that although you're competitors on the scoreboard and certainly on the water, you're some of the only people out there on the high seas. So you got to come to each other's aid when the situation requires it. A really interesting race to watch on a lot of fronts. I mean, we saw Boris certainly make his big split to the north, and then Charlie was able to wiggle through that call a little bit better than most of the pack, and it ended up with a 2-day lead, which was pretty impressive. And then, other than those two, the pack kind of split into the northern group and the southern group, and the southern group was able to edge them out coming into the Bay of Biscay at the end. So, a pretty difficult race. Wasn't very straightforward, that's for sure. Not like when we went across the Atlantic in the ocean race. That we got out in front of a front and some flat water, and boats were doing over 600 miles a day, and really a dream trip over the top of Scotland and into Aarhus.
Yeah, for sure. That's when some of the records were broken.
Yeah, and actually during that leg we had an encounter with a UFO as well. We believe it to have been a marine mammal, but our boat went from 30 knots to 2 knots in a matter of just one split second. So, it's something that I think we all fear, but in some ways there's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So it's become part of the game as the boats are going faster and they got more appendages hanging out the side. So it's something that we take very seriously.
Yeah. So this teamwork, Team SNEF, is part of the team that's managed by BU Racing. So this is the previous boat of Jeremy Bayou. This is Charal 1. It was launched in 2018. It's a VPLP design. It was built in Sedeka. And the name of the boat is Yoroshiku, which means take care of me in Japanese, in memory of a trip to Japan that the directors of Teamwork went on. And so they named their IMOCA Yorishiku. Cute little story. So Justine, she's from Switzerland, and she started sailing in Lake Geneva with the family. She later trained and began doing regattas there. In 2013, she was second in the Mini Transat, and by then she was already under the colors of Teamwork. So this has been a sponsor and a relationship over a decade now. She later did Figaro, the Transat Jacques Vabre, and of course, the Ocean Race on 11th Hour Racing Team with Charlie, who's with us.
Yeah, it's great to see relationships like that, flourish. Started with the Mini, and here she is about to do the Vendée Globe. We started with 11th Hour Racing in 2011 and just concluded the Ocean Race that, started and finished in 2023. So, over a decade there with them, and she's working on that here with Teamwork, which is great to see. So I think keeping the sponsors happy is a big part of our job as sailors, and to see Justine here on the doorstep of accomplishing her dream in the Vendée Globe is pretty cool. Obviously she comes from an unbelievable sailing family. Her brother's a flight controller with Alinghi. Her sister Elodie is done SCA and is involved with the Upwind project at Mare Concept, and Lolo, her little sister, is doing Sail GP. So amazing things in the Mettraux family, that's for sure.
Yeah, a family of sailors. And it all started with their parents there in Lake Geneva, it sounds like. Have you sailed much in lakes?
I was actually just sailing in Lake Michigan last weekend on a TP52, which was pretty cool. I tell you, I can get used to the fresh water. Fresh water is pretty nice at the end of the day. You don't have the salt caked up on your face, and it makes taking care of the boats a little bit easier. But definitely different than the ocean sailing that we've been used to these last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So here we have the images of the famous dock of Les Sables d'Olonne, the Vendée Globe dock. You have all the IMOCAs there that have arrived first place through eighth place so far, now with teamwork completing that line of boats there. You see Massif, Charlie Dallin, who came in first place, followed by Malizia Sea Explorer Boris Herman in second place, and Benjamin Sebastian Simon, sorry, fourth place, and Vulnerable Thomas Rouillon in fifth place. Samantha Davis on Initiative Kerr in sixth place, and Johan Richomme on Paprec Arkea in seventh place. There's also that collaboration not only between teamwork and Charal, but there's also between Sam Goodchild and Thomas Rouillon's boats, that kind of like team team what? How would you call these? I'm lost for my English words here. I've been doing lives, a marathon of lives. Help me out, Charlie.
Yeah, they're training partners, and I think that's essential to success in this class. As 11th Hour Racing Team, we spent a lot of time with Mayor Concept and Charlie Dolan, and also had a relationship with the Charal guys. We did a lot of sailing with Jeremy and Frank Camas, who at the time was doing the TJV with Jeremy. So, it's an interesting thing in the French world with all the single-handed sailing. Sometimes it's hard to foster true collaboration, but I think when you get it off the ground and it's working well, a lot of those teams end up in the top, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah. So soon she'll be docking in here, and the media will be there for her first interview and champagne shower, perhaps. No flares for her. I don't know what the tradition with the flares are. At what point do you stop? Is it just podium that does flares? Is it different in different countries?
I don't know about the flares, but Justine's not one for a lot of frills. That's for sure. She's pretty all business all the time.
That's right.
She likes champagne, though. That I can speak to.
Well, I'm sure she'll be offered a bottle of champagne by the Department of Vendée. That kind of seems like the tradition that we've been looking at in all the arrivals. And then she will have some interviews in French. We'll let you hear that interview and then try and translate it as best as possible. But we should also hear some words from her in English, because I've requested that. We are, of course, not on site. We are off site, commenting on these arrivals.
Yeah, I think in this particular instance, the champagne's very well deserved. Single-handed 12-day transatlantic is no small feat, so I think it's very well earned and very much deserved. So really happy for Justine. 2 completed transats in advance of her Vendée Globe start. Sure she'll do a little boat work and take some time to herself this summer, because once the fall hits, it'll be full on.
Yeah, for sure, with the Azimut and then the Vendée Globe. So this always takes a little bit of time, doesn't it, Charlie, to be able to dock in with the foils?
Yeah,
Not
I think
as easy as with a VO65.
Yeah, docking in the IMOCA is no accident. We always said the leg wasn't over until we were safely tied up at the dock and the engine was turned off. And I know the feeling. Everybody wants an interview and everybody wants to say hi and congratulations, but it's high stress until you get off the boat onto the dock and everything's safe and sound.
Yeah, for sure. So we have 3 females in the top 10 this time for such a strong fleet of IMOCAs.
Oh, here she is, getting a well-deserved round of applause.
Mm-hmm. Some of the teams will be staying here in Les Sables d'Olonne, so if you're around, you can come down to the dock and look at the boats. I know that Samantha Davis, for example, is sailing with sponsors there this week, so head on down there if you're around.
Qu'on sent,
See what she has to
on
say.
est un
She's got her
après-midi de
champagne
semaine,
now.
mais voilà, on sent que les Sablés sont passionnés et sont là, et c'est sympa de voir du monde quand même au bord du chenal pour la remontée. Et oui, ça a fait se projeter un peu pour le départ au mois de novembre.
T'as pris tes repères?
Ouais, en tout cas, je pense que c'est chouette d'être là. Ça permet à moi, ça permet à toute l'équipe aussi de prendre les repères, de savoir un peu comment ça se passera quand on revient pour les 3 semaines avant le départ au mois de novembre. Donc c'est chouette.
Raconte-nous cette course éprouvante.
Bah ouais, éprouvante parce que déjà pas mal plus longue que ce qu'on pensait. C'est vrai que quand on est parti, on pensait... Voilà, c'est des transats qui peuvent normalement se faire peut-être en 7-8 jours si ça va vite. Là, on pensait 9-11 jours avant de partir. Au final, voilà, moi j'en mets presque 13. Donc ouais, éprouvante, mais du coup ça permet de passer du temps en mer en course et c'est toujours ça qui est le plus intéressant, parce que c'est là où ça permet la confrontation, ça permet vraiment de se tester en conditions. Donc ça, voilà, ça fait plus de jours d'entraînement avant le Vendée Globe, donc ça c'était chouette, et puis des conditions très variées du coup qui nous ont permis de voir encore plein de choses sur le bateau.
Et plusieurs fois quand même, dans la course c'est parti par devant, ça devait être un peu frustrant.
Ouais, ben c'est comme ça a été le cas pour certains. Moi ça a été le cas avec Sam et Johan là, qui sont bien partis il y a un jour et demi, et voilà, on est un peu derrière, quoi, on est vraiment pas très loin, mais pourtant on n'est pas dans les mêmes conditions et on les voit partir, et on a beau essayer de tout faire pour faire marcher le bateau et ça suffit pas. Mais voilà, ça fait partie du jeu, des fois c'est comme ça. Il y a eu d'autres moments sur la course où par contre tout le monde était bloqué par le fond, donc ceux qui étaient derrière sont revenus aussi, et voilà, c'est le jeu de la course, ça va toujours des fois dans un sens et puis des fois, ça revient toujours à un moment donné dans l'autre.
Comment tu places cette course dans tes objectifs? C'est le deuxième top 10, c'est une régularité qui commence à être,
Ouais.
j'imagine, satisfaisante.
Ouais, oui, bah, c'est vrai depuis qu'on a le bateau, on a fait entre 6 et 8e, je crois, donc c'est très régulier sur toutes les courses auxquelles j'ai participé, donc c'est chouette de voir ça aussi sur l'année Vendée Globe, sur 2 transats où il y avait quand même du beau monde au rendez-vous à chaque fois. Et puis non, bah, du coup c'est encourageant pour la suite, et puis c'est vrai que c'est chouette de pouvoir revenir là après 2 transats avec un bateau qui est en bon état, sur lequel moi j'ai pu encore bien prendre mes marques. On a pu voir aussi encore les dernières choses techniques à améliorer, donc c'était vraiment hyper riche en termes d'apprentissage, juste en performance et puis en technique sur le bateau avant le Vendée Globe.
Il y a un dossier énergie, hein, je crois.
Bon, il y a un petit dossier alarme surtout d'énergie. Après l'énergie ça a bien fonctionné, mais ouais, on a encore un petit peu de boulot là-dessus.
Raconte-nous comment tu as vécu là, ces quelques moments où tu n'avais plus d'énergie à bord, tu as perdu tous tes pilotes, toute ton électronique.
Ouais, bah, c'est vraiment le truc qu'on redoute, on n'a pas envie que ça nous arrive, donc voilà, bon, je sais que ça m'est arrivé, j'ai réussi à m'en sortir, donc c'est un bon entraînement aussi de se dire que dans ce genre de situation on saura peut-être mieux quoi faire la prochaine fois. Mais non, c'est sûr que c'est vraiment ce qu'on n'a pas envie. En plus là il y avait un peu de vent, on est au portant avec un grand Janaker, donc voilà, c'est pas c'est pas forcément le plus simple à gérer, mais voilà, ça fait partie des soucis qu'on peut rencontrer typiquement sur un Vendée où on sait qu'il va passer plein de choses, et aussi techniquement on a beau avoir des bateaux qu'on essaie de mettre au point le plus possible, on passe tellement de temps en mer que voilà, il y aura toujours des aléas.
Et alors quelques heures de récup, et toi tu vas enchaîner avec le bol d'or en Suisse dès demain.
Ouais, bah le bol d'or c'est samedi, mais je m'étais engagée à le faire, et du coup je vais maintenir mon engagement, mais normalement je pensais avoir un peu plus de jours de récupération entre les 2 événements. Mais voilà, le bol d'or c'est une course majeure chez nous, ça me fait super plaisir de pouvoir retourner le courir avec un chouette équipage, donc voilà, ça va être plus court qu'une transat, mais je pense que ça va être super sympa.
Je te pose une question en anglais, tu me réponds en anglais.
Ouais.
Tell us just about your race.
Yes, yeah, pretty happy overall with the race. We had a lot of different conditions, and it was really interesting to see a lot, about to keep learning more about the boats with the new foils we have this year. It was a really good training. I think spending nearly 2 weeks at sea ahead of the Vendée Globe.
Did you take pleasure?
Yes, I think for sure we had some nice conditions, some conditions where the boats were really gliding and going well, a bit of downwind to start with. And I think, for me, overall, I enjoyed the race, and it was just a bit hard at the end when I saw Sam and Jan taking the lead on me and not being able to follow them. That was a bit hard on the mind, but that's part of the game, and that's what racing is as well. ouais, comme. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Oh, there we have some words of Justine. So basically, in the French, she said that yeah, they were expecting 8 days and ended up taking 12 days. I could hear the seagulls more than I could hear her. I don't know how good your French is, Charlie, but if you caught anything there. But did I hear her say that she was using then her new foils? Did you catch that in English at the end?
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it when it was motoring in, but you know, her old foils are a bit smaller and they're a bit more, I don't know, angular. They're designed to basically create different lift at different angles of heel, and the ones that she has on there now are a little bit more, shall we say, forgiving, a little bit more well-rounded. So yeah, it looks like she's got the new ones on there for sure. And this was the, as you said, the original Chiral, the sister ship to DMG Mori. You know, a team that's obviously very interested in the ocean race going forward. And you know, I'm sure there'll be a lot more foil development between now and the next ocean race.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for our English version here. I believe the French one continues with the awards ceremony. So you can head over to on YouTube to the French version if you want to continue watching that. Thank you, Charlie, so much for being with us from across the pond there. And congratulations to Justine, and thank you everybody for watching our lives here, this little marathon of lives.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Cool to stay in touch with the Imoca fleet, and certainly anything to support Justine. She's a great sailor, has been a great teammate, and happy to see her finding so much success.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. See you next time.
La main d'œuvre. Ça va, Val?
Bravo.
Merci.
Sur le Vendée Globe, il y aura d'autres options météo.
Enfin, il y en a toujours. Hein. C'est...
Vraiment, voilà, c'était plus difficile.
Ouais.
Pour la Calais, il n'y a pas de problème.